Hello, people. You're welcome to another episode of Bible Times with Tomolade, and I will be going back into a series I started earlier, which is David's enemies and how he overcame them. Took some break for us to talk about David and his fiasco with Bathsheba, but now we're back. Okay, so the last enemies I talked about, I think, were the lion and the bear, and also special mention the evil spirit that plagued Saul. Today I'll be talking about the next enemy after that evil spirit according to scripture. So we see that in 1 Samuel chapter 17, and it is none other than, guess who? You guessed right, Goliath. Now, who was Goliath? Goliath was not just a giant. Of course, everybody remembers that Goliath was a giant. He was actually very tall. Goliath is estimated to have been 9 feet and 9 inches. Shaquille O'Neal, which is like the tallest person coming to my mind right now, is about 7 feet and 1 inch, I think. So Goliath is 2 feet and 8 inches taller than Shaquille O'Neal. He was a big giant. So not only was he very tall, but he was also an experienced soldier. Remember Saul telling David, you can't fight this guy, you are a youth, but this person has been a warrior from his youth. Now he's matured, so he's an experienced soldier. So he was not just big, and then you can be big and use your size to an advantage, but not really know how to fight. He was an experienced warrior, and that is why he was the champion of the Philistines. When it comes to weapons also, he was well kitted. He had a spear that was as big as a weaver's beaver. He had a shield that somebody had to carry before him, ahead of him. He had, helmet and all that. He was well kitted. So this guy is, by normal standards, someone that a 16-year-old boy should not have any business going to fight against, not to talk of going to fight against him with stones and a sling. Although I saw a video where someone demonstrated how powerful a stone and a sling is as a weapon at that time. And actually, if you read about David's mighty men and some soldiers in the Old Testament, they talk about how they could sling stones. So it was actually a powerful weapon if you could use it well. But then who would think, right? Goliath, you are seeing Goliath and you are thinking, okay, this my sling and should be adequate. Nobody would think that, and that's why Saul tried to give David his armor. But David said, no, hold up. Some trust in horses and some trust in chariots, but we trust in the name of the Lord, right? So he said, I've not tried this, I cannot use it. And then he went with his shepherd bag, and that was very notable for me when I was reading it. He puts the stone in his shepherd bag, the same shepherd bag he carried in the wilderness, the same shepherd bag he carried when he defeated the lion and the bear. So this was what he was comfortable with. So we need to understand something from David, and that is that God gives us our own strategies to victory. And we can see that David relied on God giving him. He didn't say, oh, I have an experience in this. Yes, he shared a testimony of past victories, but that testimony was on the same God who helped me to defeat the lion and the bear will also help me to defeat this uncircumcised Philistine. He did not know how, but he just knew that this guy had to go down. And why was David angry with him? Not just because of why did David want him to go down? Not just because of the treasures and the reward that was going to be given to whoever defeated him, but because why would this guy defy the army of the Lord? One thing about David, God did not just call him a man after his heart for nothing. David was a guy that was very, very, very passionate about God and his people. He was very passionate about God and anyone that was associated with God. He could not stand to see anyone associated with God ridiculed in any way. And so he said, this guy has to go down. And so he went against Goliath with his 5 stones that he took from a brook. So that means the stones will be quite smooth. And then a sling, put everything in his shepherd's bag, and he approached him. And Goliath, of course, ridiculed him. Goliath made mockery of him. What Goliath was saying was enough to make David fear. And take note, Goliath was coming. The man carried in front of him that was carrying shield was also going. They both up. So it was not one man. Goliath was saying, bring one man, let me fight. But he was going as two men. And then now this boy is coming. And then, one thing that annoyed Goliath when he saw David was the fact that David was actually handsome. So I can imagine that Goliath was actually ugly. He was angry that how can this fine boy, like, are you a warrior or you are a fine boy? Are you sure you're supposed to be here or you should go and be modeling? Because I don't know what you are doing. So he was so angry, like, this fine boy, you are young, you are fine, you are handsome. What are you looking for coming to, challenge me? So he was so angry. But David was not having that. And he said, I come to you in the name of the Lord. And we can see that David totally, so the strategy for defeating that particular enemy was total dependence upon God. Of course, there's a place of courage, there's a place of boldness, there's a place of, having so much zeal and passion for God. But everything, all that was based on his dependence on God. It was not bold in itself, it was not courageous in his skills or abilities, but total dependence upon God. He was so sure that this guy will come down, not because I'm strong, not because I'm powerful, not because I have experience in killing things, but because the same God who has done it for me before will do it again. God cannot stand for this guy to be blaspheming him. Now, someone can ask a question. It's a question I've also asked. How did David know that it was him that God would use to bring down Goliath? Well, because he had seen God use him to bring down things that ordinarily he should not have been able to bring down. And we see that in 1 Samuel 17, he says in verse 46, he says that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord, and he will give you into our hands. Now, I wrote something here in my Bible. I said, God goes with you and empowers you to do the impossible when your desire is that he is known. David was not looking to take the glory for himself. No, he just wanted God to be known. He wanted God to be very obvious that the God that we will serve, no be Temu God, no be Jumia, now original Opunge God. And God proved himself through him. So whenever we have it in our minds that this thing must be done for the glory of God, God sees you, you are sent already. You are sent already. So that is another enemy. Of course, one of David's most famous. In fact, I think that's David's most famous enemy that we've looked at today. Join us in another episode where we'll be looking at the next enemy. And of course, you all know who that is. Yes, King Saul. God bless you and have a great day. And remember, go see for yourself. Read your Bible. Bye.